Um, okay, so we're going to start today. For those of you who have never put a target on the car, we're going to put a target on the car. It doesn't seem like it's that tough, but it's not that it's tough. It's just you have to make it look seamless, easy, and painless. Okay, and if you're up here fumbling and fiddle whacking with it, it's not a good look. So we're going to try to get it at least decently okay with it. Okay, so um, problem number one. All the car's in park, right? So I can't roll it forward. Problem number two is the car is not spaced on the rack at the right spot. Okay, so there are two there are two, I guess, competing ideologies. So there are the red shirts who will, to this day, tire looks a little soft, sort of like me. It's a little bulgy. Anyway, there are red shirts today that still put the tire squarely on the turn plate, and they teach the people to roll the car backward and roll the car forward. They don't actually have to teach the people that because that's what they're used to doing. Because when you have Colin, no, I'm just yeah. Do you know how to? Is there? You can't pull out the dinger anymore, right? It used to be in the fuse block, and you pull. That's how old I am. You can pull the dinger out of the fuse block. Oh my gosh! I can. Yeah. All right. Okay. Nope, I can't deal with it. We're gonna put it in park until I get this. Ah. I don't know if there's a possibility of that. It's just because. Yeah. Because it's electric. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. 2019. Okay. You always want to look at the center of the tires, and there's a bolt in the turn plate. You want to put the bolt in the center of the tires, left to right. I can do that without the noise. All right, you got to make sure you also want to make sure that the leading edge of the tire is either right on the bolt. This is actually fine. It's just a hair past the bolt. If you put the leading edge of the tire just before the bolt, good morning, sir. Oh, I was supposed to get Mateus to start on that, and I didn't do it. Fine. It's this one. If you stop a little too short when you roll the car forward, the car is all the way on the back of the turn plate, and the turn plates look like they're trying to water ski when the boat hasn't planed yet, and you're just plowing through the water. So skis are up. Just it's terrible. It's a terrible feeling, and the water doesn't feel good either. So it's a little, but you want to be at least on the bolt. Okay. So again, this is according to Hunter Engineering, this is the preferred correct way to do rolling comp because you put on the TD buckets and you just have to move the car forward. Basically, it's pi, right? So this is the cool part about pi and circles. It doesn't matter if you have 15-inch wheels. It doesn't matter if you're doing a 18-wheeler truck with 24-inch tires. You always put the leading edge of the tire on the bolt, and because of pi, it always works out that by the time the bar graphs go from red to green, the tire is on the turn plate. It's one of those weird mathematical things that just works no matter what you're doing. Older technicians, so since, I don't know, the beginning of time, you had to start on the turn plate and you had to roll off the turn plate and back on the turn plate. So some technicians or some red shirts, they're lazy, right? So what did they do? They put the TD buckets into roll back, roll forward because they didn't have to train anybody how to do rolling compensation because they already knew how to do rolling compensation. So Unfortunately, in the St. Louis area, everyone still to this day rolls it back and forward because no one wanted to die on that sword to try to teach people, hey, because it can be confusing, especially if you have, like, there's 12 people in the shop and you're trying to tell people how to pull onto the rack and two people are actually listening. And, there's one guy, picking boogers in the corner or whatever, and they're not really paying attention. And then they're going to get bad results, or they're going to, they're going to be doing the alignment here on the rack instead of on the turn plates. So it's like, why try to push water uphill? They already know to start here, roll it back, roll it forward. So it's the easy button, right? So then they just leave it the other way. In all of my rack installations, I actually had 2 instances where I needed to actually tell the customer to pull onto the turn plates, to roll it back, to roll it forward, because those 2 people out of all my shops, those 2 people were the only people that did a shakedown of the car on the rack. The first guy, unfortunately, was way out in Rome. Now, if you've never been to Rome, you're better off for it. But it's about 2 hours. It takes 3 days, and your beard grows out by the time you get there. It's terrible. But his name was Peanut. It took me 6 years to find out what Peanut's real name was, because when I would do a 492T, I would put down Peanut because Peanut was the front end technician. His real name's Randall, but it took me a really long time to figure that out. Anyway, I didn't realize he would shake it down on the rack, so I just put it, stop here, roll it forward. So he would stop it here. He'd pick up the body, the front end would pull all the way in, the tires are like this, and then he'd set it down. But because he wasn't on the turn plates, the suspension was still trying to settle out when he was just rolling it forward. So he was getting his problem was he was getting either unrepeatable results, or he was getting really stupid camber and toe numbers, depending on what the suspension of the car was. That probably took me 2 months and 4 trips driving out there. I'm on there, I'm rolling it forward. I'm like, I don't know, Peanut, it's working for me. Driving all the way back. Well, it never dawned on either of us that he was doing a shakedown and I wasn't. And then one day I finally figured it out. And then I had another shop that was in town, but the second shop was like, oh, I know what you're doing. You're shaking it down on the end there. Yeah. So anyway, if you have, because most customers, they'll do the shakedown, like someone else does the shakedown, or if someone else is working on the car, they'll call the alignment guy over and he'll do the shakedown while it's on the 2-post lift, because then the suspension's unsprung and they can just check everything before they pull it on the rack, so that when they're on the rack, they're just going to do the alignment. The other 98% of the front end technicians don't never do a shakedown. They just pull it on the rack, pull it forward, set the toe and let it go, and pray the caster's not going to cause a pull, because they don't actually know what they're doing on an alignment. So well, yeah, because the other thing you have to do is by unspringing the suspension, you have to take a long bar. You'll put the long bar into the center of the tire, and you try to pick the tire up to see if the ball joints have any sort of play in it, and then you'll take it and you'll so. But that's what a good technician does. There are very few of them left out in the world, right? Most of them are now sitting here with you, which is why they're here and not still at their former job. But yeah, or they work at a Toyota or a Honda place and they don't replace anything anyway, and then they just do tow and let it go. It's fine. It'll be fine. Even when they do the Toyota complete body replacement, because it rusts off the frame and they put a new frame on it, they still don't.
Now it's 3 sections. So you can take the rear off.
Oh, is it? Okay. See, they're getting smart.
They're smart because they know they're going to replace the frame. So let's just do it 3 sections.
Yeah. Let's do it 3 times. The labor's less per time. Anyway. So I don't think I've actually said this on video, but unfortunately, we are not the alignment police. We're not the balancer police. We're not the tire changer police, right? You don't want to show up like a Karen or a Kevin, or it's not Karen anymore. Who is it? Cindy or Kathy? Is it Jessica? The new one's Jessica, because Karen's out. So you have to somehow tell the idiot that he's an idiot without actually telling him he's an idiot, right? So you could say, hey, the way you're doing it, I see the way you're doing it, and that's okay, but can I show you a slightly different way that you may like better, right? You can't say, you can't whack them upside the head like you're in a slapping contest, right? You want to, right? I was actually at a Kia dealership in Cartersville, and it was a rotary rack with a bolt-on kit. So it was just a regular 4-post, but they had anyway, he was trying to set the rear toe and never pulled the pins. So he is just pulling on that. He's just pulling for his life. So I actually had to go out to my truck to get a pair of side cutters because I couldn't wiggle the pins out. And I never said a word to him. I just saw him struggling. I walked back out to the truck, got my side cutters, popped the pins, and I said, that should be easier. And he goes, what'd you do? I'm like, so then I could tell him, right? And he goes, no one's ever told me to do that. I'm like, oh, geez. How long you been doing this? So, you have to like, you can't say that your way is better. You can just say, hey, I have a different way that you might find easier, or you might find smoother, or something like that. Okay, so if they're doing it the wrong way or the old way, that was just the way they were trained by the person before you or the person before them. Okay, all right. TD Target bucket. There is a black rubber O-ring on here. These things seem to be like fat cells. They're forever. And they never go anywhere. They don't wear out no matter what you do to them. You can buy new replacement of these. It's just so that we don't scratch the rims, okay? On the top here, for anyone's ever been to Lego or IKEA, we have the wonderful pictograph. That way you can figure out what corner this thing goes in, no matter if you're speaking English or not, right? You got the steering wheel, and then you have a number, and then you have the filled-in tire, so it's nice and easy. Probably the most interesting part of this is
Do we buy overseas stickers from other
overseas. There's gonna be the same sticker. In England, what's funny is we don't make stickers for England.
That's right. This is America. We don't care about England.
So the only thing that's a little confusing is inside of here you have one arrow that's going forward only, and you have a second arrow that's going forward and backward. This is your roll comp attitude. Okay, so if you notice on the roll forward only side, there's a front axle and a rear axle, and then on the roll forward backward, there's a front axle and a rear axle. Your goal as a service technician is to make sure that that number is shining through the right window. Now the problem with a 1 is that I've noticed lately is that the 1 looks like a 7 when you put it through the window, even though we don't have a sensor number 7. But a 0 and a 1 will both be on the front window, and then a 2 and a 3 will be on the back window because it's the rear axle or the front axle. All right. The hooks. So the hooks, you never thought I could talk this long about it. I'm only halfway done. The hooks, these hand grenade pins are actually installed the wrong way. Okay. Every person who's ever dealt with one of these, especially if you have farm equipment, you always put it in from the top. We don't put them in from the top. If you have a small enough tire, these hand grenade pins can actually get caught between here and here, and then it doesn't pull in tight enough. So when you notice when you get these from the factory, these hand grenade pins are always in from the bottom. And the reason we put them in from the bottom is because if you put them in from the bottom, gravity will always work for you, and then they hang. And then they don't get caught up in what you're doing, okay? So everyone's going to tell you that it's wrong and you never put a hand grenade pin in from the bottom, but I'm going to tell you in this one instance, and this one instance only, you're going to put it in from the bottom.
It makes total sense, but I was the guy that was religious about swapping those over in the shop.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It just looks stupid. I don't like
I totally get it.
No, that's backwards.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Now you know the reason. So the other thing we have is we have 3 different colored, well, you guys have 4. We'll get into that in a minute. You have 3 different colored hooks. The red hooks do the middle 90% of the cars. The blue hooks do the really small cars. And the black hooks not only do the F-250s or the Jeeps, but the black hooks, there's a thumb screw on it. And the black hook you can actually make even bigger, right? Thank you. So the black hook here you can actually make even bigger by taking the thumb screw out, and you can move it over so you can get an extended length on the black hook, okay?
Was that intentional to make the black one bigger?
So that actually, I don't know, maybe, but back in
Patches, dude, I tell you what.
he really is seeing colors, or he's seeing sounds or whatever. He's seeing smells. Originally, the middle hooks were blue and the short hooks were red, because we thought most people would use the short hooks. But then we realized that most people are using the middle hooks, and we didn't want the blue hooks because they're snap-on. So we changed out the color of the middle hooks to red, okay? That being said, you don't have to have 2 red hooks, because again, this doesn't have to be in the center of the wheel. So I can use a blue and a red, a blue and a black, a red and a black and a red, 2 blacks, 2 blues, whatever. You can mix, it's almost like mix and match, okay? You guys, because you're international, they actually have a smaller hook than the blues, and a smaller hook than the blues are gray. They probably don't have any Tatas over in Trinidad and Tobago. Do okay.
People that work for JLR hate Tatas. I promise you that.
So it's an Indian car.
Yeah.
It's an Indian car company. It's called a Tata. Yeah. Do they? Tata owns Jaguar?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. No, it is.
Who does now? Really? That's crazy. So, the Indian car maker Tata, some of them have they go all the way down to 8 or 10 inch wheels. They're very, 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 very small. So for the international people, we had to come up with gray hooks that are actually even smaller than the blue ones. Okay, they're very, very teeny tiny. So.
Labor guy, by the way, for the hindrance. I have a buddy that's a mechanic.
Okay.
He makes up his own hours. Yeah.
Nah, it's fine. He's good. All right. Oh, really? Oof, I'm good. I'm here. I don't even know what that is. Oh, it's a tractor? I didn't even know what that is.
You gotta disassemble half the tractor to change the diesel filters.
You ever seen a Kubota? Yeah.
Kubota? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you have Ladas too from Russia, or just Tatas from India? You don't have any Ladas? Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. A Lada. Yeah. It looks the same. It's from the 60s. Anyway. All right. You have the hooks, okay? Now, believe it or not, there's a right way and a wrong way to grab these, okay? So when you're trying to teach people how to grab these, you tell an average guy to stick their hands out like they're holding a baby. Because most gentlemen who've never had a baby are going to stick their hands out like this because they don't know how to hold a baby. That's perfect, okay? When you hold the thing, you want to hold the thing like this, okay? The reason you hold it like this is when you put it on the car, the God-given thumb that you got pulls this down nice and easy. If you hold it this way, you have to put it on the car and then either try to use your finger or you put it on and then you have to turn your hand around anyway just to do that. So you might as well start out in the right spot. The second thing that a lot of people do, this spring right here, as you notice, doesn't have a lot of tension on it. So you pull this apart and you pull it apart. Now I got to do it this way. And it's ratcheting. So as it goes in, it clicks. Okay, and then it tightens. So what a lot of people do will put this on the tire, and then they'll actually give it the Charmin squeeze, and they'll squeeze it together a little bit to gain a tooth or two, so that way when they pull down on it, it's really, 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 really gripped it, okay? There is a way, if you're just throwing this thing up here and the springs are missing or the springs are real weak or the guy doesn't give it the Charmin squeeze, you're going to hear a plastic pop as the car rolls forward. Know that unless you're in like a discount tire and you can't hear anything, like you can't even hear yourself think or breathe at that point. If you're in a regular shop and you hear this thing pop or click, congratulations, this thing has just moved while you're compensating the car. You're going to get really dumb run out numbers. Most people don't hear it or don't care that they hear it, and they're going to complete the alignment anyway, and then something's going to be off and they're going to bring it back in, and they're going to say your alignment machine sucks because I had to align the car twice only because they didn't hear the pop. The popping noise is especially egregious on an Ultimate ADAS because, again, we have to get the center of the wheel, and then we know, because anything to do with ADAS has to have a VIN, and we know what the center of the wheel to the floor is for ADAS calibrations because we have to know our floor plane. So if one of these targets pops and it moves, it affects our floor plane. So then our floor plane is void. So then when you try to do a recalibration, maybe with a target, but definitely with a mat, it's going to place it at the wrong spot because it thinks that the floor plane is below the concrete a little bit because it fell. And it can't, obviously you can't go through the concrete, so it's going to place it slightly in the wrong angle. And I haven't said this one yet, but when you're doing ADAS calibrations, we want the car to go between the bridge abutments and not through them. Slightly better. Between, okay? So, in a litigious society. All right, you're going to take the bucket here. You're going to put you try to aim for the middle, okay? Can you put it on up here? Yes, but you want to try like you've been there before, like Vince Lombardi, like pretend you've been in the end zone before. So you're going to take the bucket, you're going to put it in the middle. I always try to hit the back groove first. I pull it together, and I can't even do it because this tire is so small, so now I got to go to the second groove. And I did the Charmin squeeze, and then I locked it down. On a bigger tire, you may only get to the first groove, okay? I don't like going on the tire itself. I like to be in a groove only because I'm weird, and I think if I'm in the groove, I get a little bit better bite on the tire. The other thing that I noticed, I left a gap between the arm and the tire, okay? This little tire is not going to do it so much, but what happens to the front end of the tire as it rolls down? It's going to pooch out. So if this arm is touching the tire and it pooches out, this arm moves the bucket, and then the bucket moves, and then everything is off. Even on an alignment, but a lot of people don't know it, and they'll just throw these things on. This thing here will be kissing the side of the tire because they're really trying to grab onto the tire. Most importantly, your arms need to be at 9 and 3. Hopefully these are at 9 and 3. Maybe it's like 8:55 and 3. I think I'm just a hair that way if I'm going to be honest with myself. I'm just a little, okay? Alignment machines are much more forgiving as to the starting attitude. If I got that probably wouldn't work on an Ultimate ADAS. It'll probably tell me that I still have that target at the wrong angle to start the roll because it's not actually at an Ultimate ADAS. It's got to be at 9 and 3. Okay.
So when you said, would it matter on an Ultimate ADAS if you have like aftermarket wheels and tires?
What happens if you have a raise kit or a lowering kit? Theoretically, according to ADAS calibration stuff, you're supposed to put the truck back or the car back to its stock ride height. No one does it. Everyone just does everyone does a recalibration.
They will sell, like on the Fords, on like the
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Well, they do now. They do now. Like, you buy a set of like
Well, too, a lot of that you have to be careful too, because if you're putting a metal bumper on, the radar can't go through the metal anyway, right? So you're going to have to move the radar just so that it can see past the bumper, right? So. Oh, okay, nice, nice, nice. That way it can shoot through it. Okay.
Give you like a mesh. You know what I mean? So it kind of covers.
Yeah, yeah. So it looks good. Okay, that's how you put the target on 9 and 3. I got it just a little bit better. Again, I think what happened is I went to the first one and I went to squeeze it. It was like, oh! So I went to the second groove in. I had enough. I could do the Charmin squeeze. I could lock it down. If you want to, you can give this a little jiggle. This should jiggle. This should not jiggle. All right. So if you all right, that way. Well, you'll get there one day. You're young. You'll hit 30 and your metabolism will go, and then you'll be fine. If they did just a little double check just to make sure it's nice and tight, because then if you hear the click, you clicked it before anything bad happened, and then everything's good. Okay, so I have a car. Salespeople, when you're in David's class, David's not going to allow you to raise the car up because you have to be able to do all of this and add air to the tires and get numbers in 90 seconds. And he is going to time you. It's going to be like a NASCAR pit crew or an F1 pit crew, depending on if your pinkies are up or down. So you're going to have to do this on the floor. The other reason we do it on the floor, again, salespeople are trying to be impressive, right? Because they have to be like, hey, look, hey, it's cool, it's fast. Right? So you guys, this here, I probably could have put this up another lock on the aligner, but then anyone that's under 5'8" probably would just try to roll the car and they're going to look like this, right? So you're going to put this at a comfortable height for you or wherever you're teaching. And the other thing we're going to talk about, and I need to talk about because I got about 3 minutes before Mitch shows up and collects that tire changer that I still haven't printed out. That's all right. I'm getting slack in my old age. When we roll the car, we do not roll the car by pulling on the front bumper. If you pull on the front bumper, when you pull on the bumper, you're pulling down. When you're pulling down, toe moves out because camber moves in and toe moves out. You're not going to push on the back of the car because when you push on the back of the car, you're raising the back of the car up, which means the front of the car goes down, but the back of the car comes up, camber goes in, toe goes out, and everything's out the window. You're going to grab the tire. Make sure you grab the outside of the tire. If you have a Honda or a Toyota and you put your hand on the middle side of the tire, you will lose the 3 knuckles that you are trying to push with because it doesn't clear the strut. Don't ask me how I know that. So you're going to put your hand here. You are not going to put your body, you don't want to grab like this, you don't want to grab like this, you don't want to grab like this, you're just going to grab the tire. You are not going to block the target from the camera. The target cannot be blocked during the roll. You're going to take this, you're going to look, you're going to take the screen and move it over. When you get all 4 targets on, the bar graphs are going to go green. We took a measurement. You're going to roll it forward until the bar graphs turn green. It's going to take a second measurement. Then it's going to extrapolate the rest of the circle out of it, find the middle of the axle, and do thousands of math equations in 2 seconds, and you guys are going to complain it's slow. But you're going to take it from you're just going to roll it forward, okay? There is a setup question. Are you pushing from the left side of the car or are you pushing from the right side of the car? Because believe it or not, as I am pushing, not only am I pushing forward, but I'm slightly giving it a little bit of a thrust. So we actually anticipate that so we can negate like 1/100th or so of a degree of thrust because we're pushing on that side. So if you happen to be in a shop where maybe it's really close to the wall and they're going to push on the right side, change the setup question to push from right side. Otherwise, we're expecting the car to go that way, but the car goes that way. So then our numbers are off just a hair by 1/100th or 2. But if the setup question is there and it's easy to answer, just answer it, okay? So what we're going to do is you're just going to roll it it's in park. You're just going to roll it forward, right? Because I couldn't handle it's been 15 minutes. There's no way I was going to handle the beeping. You're just going to roll it forward until the bar graphs turn green. There are 2 wheel chocks, right? Make sure you wheel chalk the wheel chocks. The next thing I want to talk about is the actual wheel chalk. Wheel chocks. The wheel chalk in the back is going to go like this. The wheel chalk in the front, you don't want to put flat because it's going to hit you don't want to put it flat because it's going to hit the arm. If it hits the arm, it causes this to move. You're going to put it on the inside at about a 45-degree angle. Okay? That way you miss the arm. Now, believe it or not, this is actually the wrong way to put the wheel chalk on the car. This is the correct way to do it. Because if the rack is wet, water gets between a flat surface and a flat surface, and this actually slides. That's why it looks like a wiper blade. You're supposed to put them on this way with the flat piece against the tire.
No way.
You have never been told that in your lifetime. That is the correct way to use a wheel chalk.
What?
I love that guy. I love that guy. That is the correct way to use a tire changer.
Dude, that's for the last 10 years.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So, now that your minds are blown, my job is done.
Hey, 99% of the shops.
All right. 99% of the red shirts will put it on.
Never in my life thought
Turn it.
because the cycle.
Exactly. It's got to go down. Yeah.
I just assumed that the ridges were to get into the tread of the tire, like every person on the road.
It's to grab the. It's to grab the rack. I totally agree. I totally agree. Okay. So, all right. So, I thought I had 3 cars. I apologize. I only have 2 cars. So I guess 6 and 6 since there's 12 of us. Since Mitch is going to show up, I got to take the tire changer and put it on the. So you guys, what I need you guys to do is just get smooth at putting the buckets on and rolling the car forward, because this is our premier product. This is whether it's an alignment machine or an Ultimate ADAS, you have to get really good and smooth. Last thing, on an Ultimate ADAS, when you roll the car forward to the second position and the bar graphs go green, the car cannot roll after that goes green. Okay? If the car rolls forward after it takes the second measurement, you have just taken the floor plane and moved it down. If the car rolls backward, you have just taken the floor plane and lifted it up. You're not going to get good mat placement. You're not going to get good target placement. So on an alignment machine, we don't really care about floor plane because we're just doing alignment angles. So if it rolls a little this way, a little that way, it doesn't change the alignment angles. But on an Ultimate ADAS, it literally changes where the floor plane is. So when you're rolling it forward, you have to sort of get good about kicking the thing with your foot so that the car doesn't roll. It's super important that the car doesn't roll when you're doing an ADAS recalibration.
Specifically, though, for that type of calibration, not
Yes.
just quick comp or whatever.
No, if you're just doing an alignment, you can roll it around wherever you want. Because again, I don't care what the floor plane is. I just need to know what the angle is.
What school of thought are you? Miles was dead set against the brake pedal lock.
Well, no, you need the brake pedal lock. You're talking about the steering wheel lock.
No, the pedal lock. So the cash street via the motor.
Hey, Mitch. Yes. There is a thing where you can do faster caster.
Right.
And faster caster does not use the brake pedal depressor. But faster caster, you have to be really sure that your rack is level, because if your rack is unlevel, you are literally taking the thing and I've seen cars move to the side. The other thing faster caster doesn't measure, I'm pretty sure, is it doesn't measure SAI. So it depends on your level of, analness, right? If you want to know SAI or you want to know your included angle, you have to put the brake pedal depressor on. Again, that's a salesy thing. Look how fast we can do caster sweeps, which is fine because again, they're having to, that's what makes our stuff really cool. It's really quick and it's also really accurate. I'm old school, right? I put the brake pedal depressor in every time. That doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It's just it's a different opinion. But I like to see my SAI because especially if you get one from a body shop and you're trying to figure out if something's bent or maybe something got tagged in an accident and they didn't notice it, or especially if you're doing anything with kingpins, right? Your kingpin, you have to know what your SAI is. So or bushings, like on a Ford, you're doing your bushings, right? Yeah, so you have to know what your SAI is. So I'm one of those people where it's like I've got other hills to die on. So if you're gonna tell me not to use them while you're standing there, I'll just do faster caster, and then when you leave, I'll go in and change it. So
I'm in the same boat, so that's why I was asking.
it still gives you caster. It's again, you're just missing a lot of other angles that some people like to see. Some people don't like to see it because they can't adjust it and they don't want to replace the parts. They just want to set the toe and let it go. So in that case, faster caster is great because you don't get anything on the screen that's not adjustable, but yet is in the red because it's so. Again, I use the brake pedal depressor. I do not use the steering wheel holder. Okay, you guys that have never used Wintow, you need to embrace, lovingly, tenderly, gingerly embrace Wintow and use it a few times. Wintow is really cool. It actually sets the car better than putting in the steering wheel lock because it allows everything to float because we watch the other side. So if you're adjusting this side and this side is moving, we just keep changing the number so that we get our total toe back so that when you steer the vehicle straight again, your total toe is good and your steering wheel is in the center. Okay, so we still give out a steering wheel holder. There are people my age that cannot do an alignment without using the steering wheel holder, and then they do it twice, and then they take one and go whoop, and then they fix it when they come back from the test drive because they don't know if they need to go this way or they need to go that way. But they'll fix. Yeah. So unfortunately, Discount Tire has their own trainers. You're not even allowed to train at a Discount Tire. All you get to do is put the rack in and pick 4 people's names and put it down and say that because they have their own trainer. That's all I'm going to say about Discount Tire and training is they have their own trainer.
He was very adamant about doing it their way, only their way. It was frustrating.
When they buy, 1,400 racks a year, we'll let them train however they want, right? It's like, thanks for the money. Have a good day, right? So,
But Jeff,
Yeah.
we do this every, well, I have noticed they always use this there.
yeah, well, that's just the old school way of doing it, right? So, it's just the way people can get a straight steering wheel. The correct answer to that, just like the caster sweep, is there's no one correct way to get a straight steering wheel. If you get a straight steering wheel by using your steering wheel holder, congratulations, touchdown, spike the football, kiss the cheerleader. If you use Wintow and you get a straight steering wheel, it's the same. Again, we're not the alignment police, but we can just try to say, hey, if you don't use that and you do it this other way, you don't have to go test drive the car. Right, because when you set it on step number 4 and you get the bar graph and you set it up and everything's in the green, you're basically mimicking a test drive. That's the cool part about Wintow is, especially Jake, he's in New York City. Try to test drive the car in New York City at 5 o'clock, right? You probably walk faster than where you're going. So at least if he uses Wintow, he can, 10 p.m. that night when the congestion finally dies down, the steering wheel going to be right where it says it's going to be. Okay. All right. That was Mitch. So again, 6 people. Those of you that have put these buckets on, help the guys that have never put buckets on. I'll be right back after I help Mitch.